Take a moment to consider who the silent partner might be. The answer was coming. 5:23 a.m. Joint Task Force Command Center, FBI Chicago Field Office. A digital map of Cook County cast a glow across the room's far wall, 43 red indicators pulsing across the metropolitan landscape. The investigation had evolved well beyond Adrian and Elena Velasquez. This was now about dismantling the entire Sinaloa cartel distribution infrastructure they had helped construct. The operation had mobilized 800 federal agents, 42 SWAT units, DIA tactical teams, and ICE strike forces. Black Hawk helicopters tracked patterns over the Chicago skyline as the sun crept up, the horizon bleeding red above Lake Michigan. At 6 a.m. precisely, agents moved on Naperville. A suburban property listed as a short-term rental was breached. Inside, 200 kilograms of methamphetamine and an active packaging operation run by 4 cartel affiliates who bolted for the backyard. All 4 were apprehended. In Oak Park, a luxury condominium being used for human trafficking was raided. 12 victims were recovered from locked bedrooms, their travel documents confiscated. 9 traffickers were taken into custody. In Cicero, a warehouse presenting itself as a furniture import operation concealed cocaine hidden within hollowed-out sofas, pre-packaged for delivery to destinations in Minnesota and Wisconsin. In downtown Chicago, federal agents stormed the offices of Northridge Property Solutions. Staff members were shredding paperwork and destroying hard drives with hammers when agents arrived. It was futile. Everything had already been mirrored on Elena's encrypted servers. Across Cook County, the total seizures climbed. 8.1 tons of narcotics, $43 million in cash and assets, 104 arrests, 72 recovered firearms, and then inside a Joliet storage unit, agents found something that stopped the entire command structure cold. Detailed maps documenting police patrol routes spanning 6 separate districts, shift schedules, officer names, margin annotations reading cooperative, liability, untouchable. From the vantage point of a cartel lieutenant arrested in Schaumburg, the world unraveled in seconds. He was loading duffel bags into a truck when the flashbang detonated, blinded, ears ringing. Then armored agents flooding in from every direction, weapons trained, voices shouting. He had been assured that the network was untouchable, that the Velasquez couple had bought protection, that they effectively owned the city. He hit the pavement, plastic zip ties biting into his wrists, and understood in that moment that everything he'd been told was a lie. Then came the midpoint reversal. By every metric, the operation had been a success. 104 arrests, 8.1 tons of controlled substances seized. Adrian and Elena Velasquez in federal detention facing the prospect of life imprisonment. Justice had apparently been delivered. But then analysts cracked the final encrypted partition on Elena's server, the folder marked Expansion Protocol. And what they discovered made every prior development look like a rehearsal, because Adrian and Elena Velasquez were not the architects of this scheme. They were franchise operators. The Sinaloa cartel had replicated the Chicago model across 4 additional cities. And the true designer of the entire financial system, the person who engineered it and recruited couples to run each node, was about to be identified. The server file disclosed a name investigators had never associated with the case: Victor Thornhill, a former federal prosecutor who had transitioned into private wealth management over the preceding 12 years. Thornhill had spent years inside the U.S. Attorney's Office. He understood from direct experience how federal investigations functioned, how financial activity was tracked, how prosecutions were constructed, and what categories of evidence triggered federal scrutiny. When he departed government service, he carried that institutional knowledge directly to the Sinaloa cartel and applied it to build a system engineered from the ground up to avoid detection. Thornhill recruited couples in 5 cities: Chicago, Atlanta, Phoenix, Seattle, and Philadelphia. Each couple was wealthy, professionally ambitious, and outwardly respectable. He instructed them on how to use luxury real estate as a narcotics distribution infrastructure. He built the shell companies, he engineered the financial architecture, he designed the money flows, and in exchange he collected 10% of everything that passed through the network. Recovered servers documented payments to Thornhill, totaling $63 million across a 4-year period. But the scheme extended well beyond financial criminality. The server logs revealed systematic and deliberate infiltration of law enforcement. In Chicago alone, 19 police officers were documented on the cartel's payroll, along with 7 Cook County sheriff's deputies, 3 assistant state's attorneys, and 2 federal probation officers. The methodology was precise. Monthly disbursements were disguised as legal consulting fees or real estate commission payments. Officers earned additional bonuses for leaking advance notice of raid schedules 72 hours before planned operations. Prosecutors received payments to reduce charges, cause evidence to disappear from record, and engineer trial delays. A recorded phone conversation captured a prosecutor and Elena Velasquez in casual discussion about a drug case that had been dismissed. His tone was relaxed, almost conversational. The evidence got mishandled in the lab. Case dismissed. Your guy walks. The usual fee. Defense attorneys had been compromised as well. Lawyers supposedly representing arrested cartel members were actually on the cartel's payroll, funneling intelligence about cooperating witnesses back to the network. An honest Chicago police sergeant sat in an interrogation room watching video footage of his lieutenant, a man he'd worked alongside for 9 years, meeting Adrian Velasquez at a private restaurant and accepting a thick cash-filled envelope. The sergeant's voice cracked when he addressed investigators. "We took an oath," he said. How do you just sell that?" Federal agents arrested the compromised officers in simultaneous coordinated operations. A police captain strolling out of his home in Mount Prospect, coffee cup in hand, his children watching through the window as agents restrained him. A deputy chief at CPD headquarters having his badge and service weapon removed in front of colleagues who couldn't reconcile what they were witnessing.